Cool. So we're back. And we have Nate, as always, as every Friday, and Carlini joining us. How are you both? Thanks for being here.
Yeah, good. Ready to talk about some money grabs.
Yeah,
okay, let's jump right on. Nate, handing off to you. So let's start with the basics. So what are money grabs?
Well, I mean, it's self-explanatory, I guess. It's just, in my opinion, it's when somebody does the least amount of work possible and tries to leverage their social network reach to try to make money off people who are clueless for the most part. So, and actually there are things that are done in sort of a low effort, like quick fashion that still actually have some charm to them. So maybe there's some nuance here, but this would be specifically, or at least in my opinion, it would be specifically like when somebody they're only thinking about how can I make some money? How can I be an opportunist in this space and not give a single shit? So, when, I can't remember his name all of a sudden. I just tweeted about him.
Ivan on tech. Yeah,
Ivan. Fucking like that kind of stupid shit. Like, fuck, that's so dumb to me. It's so annoying. And you know what? I don't really feel bad for people that lost money on that drop because, whatever. That's just being fucking stupid as far as I'm concerned. If you look at something, everything has a value to it that should at least make some kind of sense. And if some stupid low effort shit like that, I think it made like 250 or 300 ether, which is fucking annoying. I don't know how else to put it. That's a fucking money grab. And that's exactly why it has no value and why nobody will, I think you can buy one for like 20% of the original price. If you had bought multiple of them and you needed to sell now, you couldn't find buyers probably at any fucking level. You could probably list them all the way down to $10 and there's probably just no buyers of that shit.
Any thoughts, Carlini?
It's just people trying to exploit their already large followings, isn't it? So this Ivan on Tech guy has 230k Twitter followers. He had less at the time, but we've seen this crypto pump. So he was early in the. I say early. We had early celeb stuff back in 2018. They came in, just made stuff, and shockingly, all of that stuff's dead as well because NFTs will live forever, but you need the community around it. And if the creator isn't engaging, why is there going to be a community? People just accept they have their bags and they move on.
That's kind of how shitcoins work. I mean, it happened in 2017 where people invested because the majority of losers in people that lose and at a longer time frame like that are smaller investors or people who invested small amounts relative to what they feel comfortable investing. So like if I invested, for example, $100 in something and then just forget about it for 3 years, and then I look at it and it's worth $0, I fuck it, and people exploit that, and they exploit that mindset where people maybe spread their net too wide and they try to capture everything, and they're okay that some shit's going to zero. But these people pushing out money grabs and in 2017 ICOs with single white papers, they know that people aren't going to give a shit. 2 years later, people will just accept, no, this is worthless, and that'll be fine.
How's your crypto celeb bag doing?
Well, it got removed from OpenSea. I saw that. I don't know when that happened, but I got that for free in a contest, so I'm not too heartbroken.
Oh, okay. Because I'm sure the floor was like 7 ETH or something.
Yeah, this one, the
Which
last
means
sale.
anyone who owns it paid at least 6.5 ETH, which, when you think about it, is now, however much that is.
Yeah, it was Phil that did the contest and sent it to me. It was, I think, the price.
Oh, Phil had loads here. Does he still have Elon for like over 100 ETH?
Yeah, probably.
So there's like, so let's think about this. So there's like money grabs, which are, celebs or people that have a lot of following that kind of come in, do whatever they want to do, and then, quickly go out, right? And then there's like a portion of people who are interested in like building some form of community around them, even if maybe they are already like famous. Like, for example, I saw, Nate, that you tweeted about Mark Cuban that knows about like smart contracts.
So
what do you think about that?
Yeah, I was actually just joking. So like it was just more, his phrasing made it sound like he was going to write the smart contract, and I just would be shocked if Mark Cuban had time to figure out how to use Solidity and write contracts.
Cuban will get someone to write it, I think.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, at that level, I assume that he knows how to use Ethereum. Actually, I wouldn't be surprised if he was the one that minted his NFTs when he was playing around on Rarible. It was him, right? That pranked some stuff from. Yeah. So I mean, but yeah, as far as like him being a developer or something, I just was kind of amused at his phrasing, saying, "Oh well, I'll write the contract, or you can write it if you want." Or.
But why do people buy into money grabs?
They think that they can make a profit. In a lot of cases, that's what it is. They say, "Oh shit, this person has a big brand. If I can buy these and they sell out fast enough, then we can play the hot potato game." That's why some people buy them. And then that momentum carries people who are like, I'm not going to say stupid. I'm just going to say ignorant, to like, they think, oh, okay. Oh, well, I've heard of an NFT, but I've never bought one. And this dude has 200,000 followers. So maybe these will be valuable, because they have no idea what makes NFTs valuable or cool in the first place. So, they'll throw their $200 in the ring and then forget about it and just not care maybe that it's worth nothing. But actually the whole FOMO thing, that drives like so much. So I've talked to several people who are trying to launch their own projects and really always kind of emphasize how important the launch is, and because that's like the perception. Like if you launch a project and it doesn't have a very good launch, it's going to be very hard to regain that momentum, because people will come to it, and these people who buy things for a flip will say, oh, well, shit, if it's not selling out now, how the hell am I going to buy this and sell it on the secondary market for a profit? I'm not going to be able to, so I'm not going to buy it all. And then there goes a huge percentage of your potential buyers. Whereas if you do a big launch and you have that kind of momentum, then people might play that speculation game and be the ones buying early. And if they can all like collectively kind of, without, not necessarily coordinated, but collectively see, oh shit, this is going to sell out. This is going to be a good buy, because people will come in a day later and want this thing, and then we'll be able to mark it up. And that's, that drives a lot of like early projects. And that ties into how FOMO ramp psychology works too, I think.
It's kind of tough. Like from my perspective, I think about it this way. So I don't particularly like FOMO, but at the same time, I realize that it's necessary if you want to like build up some sort of, as you said, like community or like suspense around like whatever you're going to launch, right? Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's funny because like you want to like essentially like you would like your NFT or your project or whatever you're doing in the space to like thrive because it has value, right? Like intrinsically has value. Without if you take out the FOMO, like what is left?
Yeah.
Right. Like, that's like the dream, ideally. Like, take out like the FOMO, the scaled pricing, the kind of like, I want to jump into it because if not, I'm missing out, and just leave the actual like project.
Mhm.
And my question is, like, can it stand on its own because it holds value? Like, how can you define like a valuable NFT project without the FOMO? Like, take away like the FOMO and the excitement, let's say.
It's really hard. I mean, if you launch something and it isn't initially, it depends too, I guess, depending on what your reach is. So like if you have a small following and you launch something and maybe people find out about it after the fact and it's a little more organic, it still will devolve into sort of FOMO. Everybody's spending huge and just rushing in. If it has that sort of viral effect, I think that, I mean, I've seen a number of projects, especially with like the FOMO ramp thing, where as soon as that first tier sells out, like the first tier could sell out in a day. And then, the creator or whatever is thinking, oh, that's fine, that it's slowed down. It'll just be slower for the next tier. But instead of that actually happening, it literally just goes to zero. Nobody wants to fucking touch it because they bought initially as speculation.
Hello, Naiko. Cardini,
Yes.
what do you think about FOMO projects?
Well, in the main thing you need when making a project is you need perceived value. You need people to think the value is there, but they don't want to use it. So you want people to hold on to your project because they want it because of X, Y, or Z. So you need the utility or the reason or the purpose of the NFT, but they also need to think that it's valuable, but they need to not want to sell it, if that makes any sense. You want them to want to hold it, which a lot of people do with NFT art. They've got some art that they like and they don't want to sell it, but that project will do much better if those people think that they could sell that NFT for more than they bought it. So if they think they're doing something smart but they want to hold on to it, then it just makes the projects much easier in the long term. Although in reality, for me, the cash grab depends on intent. If it's just a release and done, and you've pulled in millions for something that is definitely not worth millions when you release it, then that's a cash grab for me. But if you then use those millions to fund bringing in devs, to build around the project, to bring in artists, to build the community, to hire staff, if that's what the company is doing and it fails, then for me it's not a cash grab. It's just people trying to do something, trying to build something, and then it might not even fail. It's just the price isn't there. The price is lower than it originally was for whatever reason, and that can be out of people's control. Like if the NFT market suddenly goes to 3 years ago, I don't think there'll be any NFTs that there'll be people bag holding. People will have bought in higher now than they could sell then. So things can be out of individuals' controls. But if people just turn up, like Ivan on Tech, drops an NFT and then does literally nothing with it after pulling in plenty of cash, that's a cash grab. But had he then tried to build around it, it wouldn't be a cash grab. So for me, it's intent of the creator or whoever gets the cash.
Yeah, I like that answer. And I think that for me, I've been a little maybe hard on like celebrities and stuff, and it just is more my own. I think on Twitter, maybe some people maybe take things that I say too literally or seriously, and a lot of times I'm just talking shit. Like it's not, I don't care that Paris Hilton made $1 million. Like, I mean, I think it's dumb. Like, I don't think that whoever bought that will ever sell that for more than $1 million. I would be fucking shocked if they do. But like, whatever, and she's tried to, for what it's worth, she has tried to connect to like people in the NFT space. and talk to them and at least talk about NFTs. So while it was very cash grabby from my perspective, it wasn't as bad as some people have done. So
Did it not all go to charity? Was it like completely the opposite of a cash grab?
did it go to charity?
I thought it was a charity sale. That's what I liked about it.
I don't.
I'm actually not sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think probably not, actually. Maybe.
I'm not sure. I didn't follow accurately. I know she's participating in like a grant with Illustrator. So she's doing, like the 7 Genesis grant and doing some other things in the space. So to Carlini's point, which I completely agree with, by the way, and I think it's a good way to put it. It's like, there's people who might want to build, and there's others who just come and go as easy as
if you see it as an opportunity to make money.
Yeah, so let's say
like
Logan Paul NFTs or shit like that. Like, it's, somebody kind of hears about it, they say, I have a shitload of followers.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, in their mind, they may think, depending on how diluted they are, they may actually think that people want to collect that garbage or whatever. But like, probably the people who are buying the stuff for the most part are natives, and they're hoping that they can leverage how big that person's brand is to then try to, make some money on the secondary market, flipping something that they don't want. And then they find out that nobody really wants it. But, yeah, I just think that there is the way that Carlini explained it, I think is probably the best way to explain it.
Very politically correct.
Yeah.
I've Googled the cat NFT that she sold last year was the one that I have in my mind, and that went to the LA Food Bank, Meals on Wheels, and BB for Homeless.
Oh, was that the thing they did with the non-fungible guys? The auto
cryptograph.co.
Cryptograph. Yeah. Okay, yeah. And
that's the one I was thinking of.
That raised, I think that hers made like 20 ether or something, or 30 ether. I don't think that it was, because NFTs were so under the radar then. And
also
last year,
so last year's market.
You're probably looking at, it was maybe like $5,000 or something. So, it's a little easier to donate that than it is to donate $1 million. I don't know, not that you should have to do that stuff. I think about this stuff a little bit. I was thinking a little bit about, Beeple, and is he really a good artist, or is it just his story is good, or he just has unbelievable timing, or like, and I don't really know the answers to this stuff. Like, I mean, for me personally, I would rather have, CryptoKitty #1 than Beeple's stuff, really. Well, depends, I guess. If I could sell it for more, I probably would go for the more valuable thing. But as far as
you would.
Yeah, I mean, let's just be honest. Like, if you have the choice between something that's worth $50 million and something that's worth $2 million, I mean, But as far as which one I think is cooler, it would be, something that was interesting and pioneering in the space. An elite level CryptoPunk or CryptoKitty 1.
And actually, that's interesting, because it's like my next thought while you both were speaking were like, do you both think that this wave of kind of like, artists and art will keep going on, or will there be a point where actually like NFTs will have to start have a utility, like other than subjective pleasure of collecting art?
So I think that the market is going to get tougher and tougher, and I alluded to it a little bit yesterday. I mentioned something about because my first reaction when I saw digital art in the space, because I was always into like collectibles more, and I saw the art, and I just thought, like, I don't see how this is sustainable. I remember hopefully he's not watching this, but X Copy, like I remember looking at his stuff and being like, this is cool, but like I feel like you could make that shit in like 30 minutes, or I don't know. I just felt like, and now I've learned some things about art and the way that it works more than I knew then. So, you know, that some of that was ignorance on my part, but at the same time I felt, well, I don't see how this is sustainable. How could he ever get to, 20 ether a piece if he could crank these out every single day? And now I understand that some of these guys that are the top guys, they understand supply and demand, and they understand if they do that, they're going to ruin their own brands. So they don't do that. Okay. And then, yeah, his style is iconic now, and it's associated with OG crypto artists. And okay, now I get the value proposition on it. But outside of him, I remember looking at like animation type stuff, and even if it looked cool, I always thought there must be so many people in college that could do this shit. And a market like that is going to overwhelm with supply. Like if every person can spend one day to crank out a cool looking animation and sell it for even one ether, fucking $3,000 a day, that's just not sustainable. You know what I mean? People are not buying millions and millions and millions of dollars of animation art outside of NFTs. So it just isn't going to be sustainable as all those people with talent start finding out about this space and coming in. So I think, and don't get me wrong, I mean, as we move more to being digital and spending more time online and stuff, people will collect cool looking art. I think that people will always pay for cool looking art, regardless of, and some people won't care about secondary value at that point, but it'd also be a lot cheaper to collect cool looking art when there's a million artists all competing against each other and lowering their prices under each other to try to, make a career out of it or whatever. Right now, it just is, it is what it is. A lot of people wouldn't want to hear that, but it happened in the CryptoKitties market. And I know that some people say, well, I don't see how that's the same, but it really was. People thought, I can breed cats and make money. Like, this is fucking cool. All I gotta do is smash these two cats together, sell it for $100, pay $10 to make another cat, sell it for $100. And obviously it's not sustainable, because when a million people do that, who's buying this shit? So that'll happen in the art space. I think that it'll move more and more to people will start appreciating like the contracts themselves and the special, innovations that they bring. And that's always been what I've cared about more, I guess. So maybe I'm just saying this because I'm just biased as shit, but that's sort of my thinking on it.
I do think, as we do see more and more artists coming in. So as we go more and more mainstream, we will move more and more to the normal art world, I guess. What we're seeing now is people trying to buy in to early to NFTs. By now, these will have value because they'll be so old, etc. And sure, people who are making now and continue making for 10 years, I'm sure that will have some OG NFT sort of value. Because you're like, well, this artist was making NFTs before everyone was here, and they're still here. But I think they'll struggle to make a living only on NFT art without innovating. Like if they can't do it now in the I don't know, legacy art world. I don't know how to phrase that. Then they might not be able to do it in the NFT art world when that's more of the norm. Like I followed a lot of Pokemon groups on Facebook. That's my main Facebook use now for Pokemon cards and to track the value and things like that. And Facebook has started showing me a lot of NFT art Facebook groups, which are just popping up, thousands of people in them, getting more and more mainstream. And it reminds me of the gambling world quite a lot. So I did something called, I guess, match betting. When did I start it? Maybe 8 years ago. And it was just lots of people trying to make money, but we were taking it from the gambling sites. And it was like lots of people teaching each other how to do it, and there's sort of lots of little communities popped up. And these Facebook groups I'm seeing remind me quite a lot of the early days there. And what happened in that world was, as this became more mainstream, the bookies adapted and changed. They knew about us and they did what they could to stop us. So what I feel like from just the NFT art world itself, everyone's going to think they can come. Well, everyone's trying to come in to be a Beeple. You don't have the Beeple story. You don't have. Beeple he wasn't, the first, but he was early to the NFT art world. I mean, hundreds were earlier, but he was early. And then add into that every day for, was it 13 years or is it longer? And it was just 13 years he sold in one piece. You will need something that sets you apart, because just good art will get saturated.
Mm-hmm.
In the general NFT space, it's happening too. You can't just make a collectible. A lot of people try. I remember all the CryptoKitties clones 2018 where they're just like, oh, this is a collectible. The smart contract would say CryptoKitties in it. And they're now dead. You can't just make a collectible. You have to work at it and keep going. So if an artist comes in now, I do think they can make it, but I don't think they can make it quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And unless they're really good or are great at marketing, or just your average artist coming in, I think they're going to need to stick at it and have faith. But that goes for most NFT projects.
Yeah,
I think if you really want to build, it's going to take some time.
Yeah, I mean, I think what we're going to see is the same thing that you see in really any industry that becomes whenever the barrier is lowered to it. So for instance, let's say the Beatles, when they were a band and were getting popular, their competition was much lower. And, whether you think they're good or not is, subjective or whatever. But if they were trying to release as a band in today's age, there's a very good chance that nobody ever would have cared or given a shit or found them. It just is, I remember kind of being in the music scene for a while, and when MySpace came out, the way that it lowered the barrier for you to expose your band to the entire nation or whatever, and especially at the beginning, all you had to do was click add friend to 1 million fucking people if you had the drive to do that. And now you have this enormous following. And then eventually people thought everybody on MySpace was annoyed. I mean, all these fucking bands are adding me constantly. And then it became saturated. And then now there's 1 million great bands that nobody will ever find or hear or care about because saturated. The same thing. This is in every industry that's attractive to people. So being an artist, it sounds awesome because you can do your passion, do it full time, especially if you can make, 10 ether a day or whatever in this crazy NFT world where unlimited spenders exist. I think that it's going to be maybe a wake up call for some people who haven't lived through that or experienced that before. And it's going to be on the collector side, it's going to be big too. And let's say in a couple of years when it has reached sort of this saturation point and people start realizing their secondary value maybe isn't what they thought it would be or could be. And don't get me wrong, there probably are some totally new people that are in space right now that their stuff in 2 years will be tremendously valuable because they'll go on to be who knows who they'll end up being, but you can't really predict that. And the much higher percentage of people will not have that path. They'll do this, and when times get tough in a few months, they'll say, I'm not really making any money doing that. I'm just going to go back to trying to sell in a gallery or whatever.
And what do you think about brands?
About
like
what?
brands like, well-known brands coming into the space and, looking into, because they're all looking into the NFT space at the moment and thinking like, how can I integrate an NFT experience or some form of, like NFT into what I'm doing, like rewards, for example, experiences. What do you both think about that?
For me, it depends how it's sort of the same answer. How are they doing it? But if as you just said, they're just looking like, how are they looking to implement it into their business? That's good. They're looking to use the tech in the right way. But all I've seen is, I mean, probably because I've only seen it because this is the quick way to do it, and building something actually takes time, and that's why we haven't seen it. But all I'm seeing is, how can we sell something to our customers?
Yeah.
Well, like the drop on Nifty Gateway for the, is it OG, the esports team?
Yeah.
Well, I don't think that came with any utility or anything like that, and it was just sold, just a sold NFT. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think these brands should be coming in. Well, I mean, sure, they can do it if they want. And guess what I mean is, I don't like it if they're coming in just to sell their brand as an NFT. It should be cool if they were selling their brand as an NFT, but they're not. They're selling an image of their brand to people. But I'm sure there are plenty of, like, we've seen how many of these big guys are investing. You look at OpenSea and look at the investment they've got. You look at NFT 42 and the investment they were getting. Dapper, the investment they've been. People are coming in to the NFT space. They're investing in it, and we don't really know what. Well, I mean, I'm sure some people who can't talk about it know, but we don't know what's going on behind the scenes about these brands that are coming in to build. Gary V's got that utility NFT 5.5, and it's well, we know because comes from Nate's company that the NFT will be solid smart contract wise, and we know there's utility. And Nate's a fortress on that. I haven't been able to get anything out of him. I don't actually know what the utility is, but we know this NFT that's coming out isn't just, a BitBoy collectible. It's actually got utility. And this sort of thing is good because it will be a bridge. It won't be the perfect utility. So this NFT will come out, and my suspicion is, I don't know, you can go on a Gary V podcast if you have this one. You can go to a Gary V show if you have this one. You can have a phone call with Gary V if you have this one. A bit like what Pranksy did on Rareable. I think it'll be something like that. But it's good because it'll push the tech, because right now that will be trusted. You need to trust that Gary V will do that. Whereas eventually we'll somehow innovate to a way where you have that token and it will actually guarantee the event somehow. I'm not sure how you get from A to B, but someone smart will figure it out, I'm sure. Maybe Nate, you'll figure that out.
No comment.
Okay. Do you know anyone smart?
Yeah, I mean, I think as for like brands and stuff, it's going to be, I kind of think about it the same way. If they're just coming in here because they see it as a flash in the pan, like, oh shit, we can commission some artists, we can throw them in the ring on Nifty Gateway and do one of these open edition drops, and people will FOMO the shit out of them because we're Kellogg's, and they'll say, oh, that's a big brand, and then we'll make a couple $1,000,000, and then we'll have a nice company party or whatever, and never care again after that. Like, I think there's a lot of that, and that's what I would kind of frown at and discourage maybe. And then I think that there are a few people that are taking a longer approach and trying to think, how can I tie an NFT into the brand that I already have and do it in a way that actually enhances, customer experience, which is sort of a win-win for both sides. Customers getting something out of it, the company is getting money out of it, or higher customer satisfaction, or whatever it happens to be. That increases their brand's, rating, I guess, in public image. Yeah, I mean, I guess the reason that we've maybe only, and Carlene's kind of alluded to it, but the only reason we've only seen kind of these lower level effort grabs or whatever is because they don't take any time, and people they put an intern on it and said, oh shit, I found out you can go to Rarible and you can mint your own token. All you have to do is upload the little thing to it, and actually a lot of the FOMO that goes into that stuff. When I talk about saturation, that is going to happen big time on these brands that are trying to do these cash grabs. It won't take very much longer of them doing it and people trying to say, oh shit, this is new celebrity, I'm going to jump in on their shit and try to make money on the secondary, and people will start eventually getting burned because nobody actually wants that shit. And then that will lead to nobody buying that stuff. And then that will wash out that whole crowd, I think. And it will require, you will have to actually, do something with some more thought to it. So in the same way, CryptoPunks clones are fucking everywhere. And the first ones that came out actually did pretty good numbers wise. And now there's so many, nobody gives a shit. Like if you do a CryptoPunk clone right now, you are lucky if you can make 10 ether off some random, really degenerate buyers probably. But like something like GAN Punks, I think did like 1,000 ether or something. So that window is closing for these brand grabs. I think it won't matter how big they are because there's thousands of celebrities, there's thousands of brands. Mm-hmm. Did $1 million on her one of one. How many times are you going to do that? How many $1 million celeb buyers do you really have before people say this is getting fucking crazy? Like 1 minute of effort on their part, $1 million bucks. Like no. So it will.
But we're already seeing a bit of saturation. Like even Nifty Gateway has changed. It's changing the way they're doing their schedules. Like
yes.
We're close to that in a way.
We are actually, and that's good. There's some flippers who are probably not going to be very happy about it, and it's put pressure on the entire market. Really, I think I went from selling a shitload of NFTs every single day to not really selling anything anymore. Punk's market is still decent, but it's, I mean, Top Shot market is still good, but relative to what it was, it's not. So yeah, I mean, we're seeing that pressure, and that is because of all these people that think that this is free money printing are starting to see, oh shit, I'm getting stuck with some bags. Nobody wants this. And now there's more drops coming, and I can either buy into those and dig a deeper hole, or I can cut the cord here. And what's happening is more and more people are cutting the cord. And I mean, I think there have been some crappy drops over there that have just, it's saturation. I mean, it was always inevitable.
Do you both think that open editions played a part into this saturation of the market, like the idea of open editions?
Yes, is my my short answer. I don't like open editions at all. If in the current market and not at the prices, that's the key for me. Like, $1 open editions. I don't care about that. That's fine. My issue is like $5,000 open edition. It's just in that market. If you think, oh, people are just, the majority of our buyers are just buying it for the art, then if you thought that a few months ago, then you are now seeing that was incorrect. people were buying for the potential profit, and if you were selling something and didn't know that, then I'm not sure if you could consider yourself knowledgeable about NFTs, because it was just too obvious. Some people were buying for the art, maybe a certain percentage, and the rest was for profit, and it's like a sliding scale. As you've got a little bar, and as you change it from 10% art, 90% profit, that's 10 people. You get to 20% art, 80% profit, that's 50 people. But there was just so many people just buying these open editions because they thought they get free money. And I know this because, like I said, I was in this gambling community before 2017. Everyone was trying to buy these NFT drops on Nifty Gateway. They were setting up multi accounts in these drops. There were literally, from one Slack of I think it's 25 active people now, 3,000 accounts in that Nifty Gateway queue would be them. And then you go to my Discord channels, and there are people. If I changed my name to Carlini NFT Boxes on Discord, and I got like suddenly 50 DMs from channels that I've been in 5 years that I haven't spoken for ages, and these people are just Nifty Gateway edition drops. What's your advice on this? What's your advice? And the truth is, I was never really involved in them because it didn't interest me in the same way that collectible NFTs do. And I could just see from a personal point of view, people are just coming in for the money, and the open editions just drain that. People will buy up expecting to sell. There's no secondary demand because everyone who wanted to buy could buy. And you need to manage that. If you know the market, you need to manage the market. You're just going to, are you purposely just trying to drain it and kill it quicker?
Yeah, I mean, the window is closing. I think they played a big part into accelerating sort of the saturation here for sure. And they made a bunch of people money, and that money got cycled in the ecosystem in other ways. So maybe it wasn't all bad or whatever. I mean, there are people I've seen on Twitter who've kind of built up some followings, and a lot of that came from sort of the opportunity. Didn't last long. I mean, you had open editions on like say the first Beeple open editions. I remember that. I think that was I can't remember if that was the first open edition or if Pax did an open edition before him, but the Beeple open editions, I remember thinking that this doesn't make any sense why anybody would pay more for this tomorrow. Like, you can buy it today for this price as long as you're here. I mean, I was way wrong, obviously, but but after that, and those people flipped for enormous amounts, people started FOMOing the shit out of open editions. And it was insane that it even worked. Like, why the fuck is somebody paying 2 times the price just because they were a fucking day, just because they weren't paying attention the day before? That is insane to me. But yeah, and now that's how you end up here, because people started going, why the fuck am I paying 2 times? I'll just show up on the day. I mean,
and then everyone shows up on the day, and then no one can sell it for times 2, and then no one wants to buy for.
Yeah, and then they start undercutting each other. The Steve Aoki drop, like, I bought that one, and I think people are selling like 50% of what they fucking paid for it. I'm like, Jesus, like, I hate open editions. Fuck. I think at the very least, you can do a cap, and maybe you can close that cap lower than what you set it to. But I don't know. I should take it back. They're terrible for speculating. Maybe they're actually a good product for people who want to collect something. Maybe, I don't know. They haven't been treated that way. They've been treated as, let's buy this stuff and hope some dumbasses come in late and pay extra, or I mean, the $1 ones I think are cool. I thought that was cool as shit when he was going to do the $1 one, and I really wanted to buy one, and I think had my mental price of I'll buy one for $100 if I don't get one, and that just got pushed up. I think day one those were over $1,000, and I was thinking this is so unsustainable, which was wrong again. But I guess that my original thinking is kind of still, well, no, it was wrong. I don't know how I'm going to try to defend that I was right about that.
Open edition should be the no flippers situation. It should just be, and I mean, I guess you can't blame the platforms, because it's when you kind of think from a Top Shop perspective, they have always said from the start, look, the whole point is that some of these moments are worth nothing. We want lots of $1 moments. We want people to be able to collect this cheaply. If the goal of the open edition is to be able to get people into NFTs cheaply and get some nice art, that's great. What you could do to finance that is have, say you've got whatever artist is having a drop, have them drop their expensive version of the art, and then have another drop where they could something, the bigger one took them however long it took them, and their cheaper version that they just sell for $5, $10, $15, something that lets people into the NFT ecosystem that can be printed as many times as is feasible. I guess maybe gas becomes an issue at those prices, but the artist puts in less time and it's just sort of a secondary drop. It will still be good. Like some of the stuff for other drops that have been taken much less time to create have still been excellent art. So if an artist comes in and they put two pieces, one piece is like the money maker, it funds the drop, and the other one gets people in, I'd be fine with that. But open editions of $1,000, that's just, it's not the point of open editions in my view. The view should be to get the editions to everyone who wants it. Don't even make it that time gated. Let people print it for a week. They've got a week to get in. There's no, a bit like with those Top Shop packs now. You had a week or 3 days or something to go and order. You didn't have to sit in a queue, and they were super cheap, and they'd print them to demand. To me, that should be an open edition plan.
Yeah, I actually agree with that a lot. I mean, I think what they did with it, whether intentional or not, was sort of turn it into this gambling speculation game is really what it was. Is, well, how popular is this going to be perceived, and how can I game this system to make a profit? And if it's too popular and too many people mint, then I'm going to lose money and I'll need to dump for a loss. But if it's not popular, and it just turned into a game, is really a speculation game it was always going to, if you guessed right, you would make some money. And if you guessed wrong, you would have to sell at a loss or hold the bag. And I just think that that's very exploitive, maybe. Like, I don't know if it's intentional or not, but that is what it turned into. I mean, I played the game, so I'm not really like hating on people that did that. I tried to do it, and had some wins and had some losses, but I don't think that's really maybe necessarily the best way to push this space forward, maybe.
Yeah,
I think
but
they've
also
realized their issue, and they're changing it now, aren't they? Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was saying the whole point of the open edition and how it kind of went was also sort of inviting that speculation in. Like, it was, even if you maybe didn't want to do that, you were kind of like, oh, maybe I can actually like make some money out of it. So it was, yeah, it was kind of like a vicious circle, and they are making changes because they've realized that it's not sustainable for the space, or probably even for them as a marketplace.
Hmm.
The first one went well. The first few went huge, didn't they? So that probably doesn't really help because people just learn by seeing. You see, like, oh, everyone who bought the first few open editions made loads of money.
Yeah.
I'm obviously going to buy into this open edition, and I think that is probably the point when they should have changed it. Like when you see, oh, okay, clearly the FOMO ramp is high on this one. We need to take some action.
Yeah. I mean, they're doing 5-minute drops, and they were still making $1 million and minting a shitload of editions, and people start hitting the markets as soon as the window closes, and and I would say probably buyers at that right after the market end, they're speculating too that it'll snowball up into something. I mean, it's fun. Part of this space is kind of like that kind of degen nature and like speculating on stuff. And, some people actually frown upon it and they say like, you shouldn't even participate in those kind of antics or whatever, because you're the problem and shit. But like, I don't know. I think it's okay to do that. And I mean, I'm saying that because I've done it. I do. I mean, ultimately, is something like that sustainable, and is that the long-term future of this? No, if we're just being real. No, I mean that's never going to work longer term, And it already now not even a few months, and now everybody's pissed off. So,
And do you both think that there is space for more platforms coming in, or is that like also kind of saturated when it comes to marketplaces?
there's space for more. I think that they'll have to differentiate themselves, and there's more and more. I keep hearing of new ones that I've never even been on, and everybody's trying to build one, and they're raising money because VCs will give you money for anything right now. Like you just have to say, I'm doing a crypto podcast, and they'll probably give you $1 million. And like VCs will give you money for just about anything, especially if you're building something or say you're going to build something. So yeah, I mean, people are building a lot of them. I think that the ones that will make it will be the ones that differentiate themselves and stand out in some way or another. So like with us, one of our emphasis is trying to make sure stuff's on chain one way or another, whether, and like caring about where the metadata is stored, like NFT boxes, Carlini and Prank is, in my eyes, it's a curated selection. It's different. It's not, but it's kind of a platform in itself. It's sort of like an edition drop once a month. It's kind of like a decentralized Nifty gateway, if you will. So, I mean, I think that there will be new different ideas like that will come out and stand out and differentiate themselves. But if you're just building a minting platform that is another known origin clone, it'll be just like the artist thing that we talked about earlier. There will be a saturation point where if you're not standing out in some way, you can build it and it can look fancy and nobody will care. You can build Facebook over and over and over again. It doesn't mean, well, social media is maybe different because people do migrate. You can build Twitter over and over again, and getting people to migrate after they're all on it that's really the hard part. It's not building it that's hard. So yeah, that window will close. Right now, I don't think it's closed. I think there's still plenty of opportunities for platforms to come in and make a name for themselves.
Yeah, I think so too. I think there'll be space for these to come in. But yeah, you need to do something different, or you need to. I don't think just some NFT bros could make it. I think you'd need some serious, I don't know what to call it, real world backing. Like if, you know, Sotheby's decided they wanted their own platform, I think they could quite easily come in and be at least a top 3 without too much effort, and probably if they're going for it, they could become the platform to go for. That's if that sort of, I guess, that sort of established brand comes in, and the brand is in the right position in the real world. I think they could, with the right team behind them, push themselves. Like if you think to compare it to Top Shot, they brought in so many new people to the NFT world, and that is what these people knew. And then they came to ETH, and they struggled because they had the easy user experience. If you took that and built it into a platform, and then you brought in your own people, so if you advertise to people and bring them into NFTs, and if you bring in enough people, your platform, the people who are currently, you know, trading elsewhere would have to take a look at your platform purely because of the numbers you've brought in. So I think there is space, but it's going to be much harder than a lot of other NFT projects you could do, because there's so much new stuff you could do with very little established competition. Whereas taking on OpenSea is probably one of the biggest challenges in the NFT space right now.
Yeah, I think that Binance, they're apparently doing an NFT platform, and they're positioned in a pretty good way, I think, to be very successful with it.
Yeah, they'll definitely have good power.
Yeah, I would say, because part of this, one of, you know, if you think about what it is that made Nifty Gateway so successful, a big part of it was the USD on ramp and off ramp, and that part of that ties into the fact that they had the exchange associated with it, Gemini, which relative or compared to Binance does way lower volume. So I assume there's way more customers on Binance. They have Asia, which is a market that I don't think is, at least from what I've heard, is not really big in any of the major NFTs. I mean, there are some, but so that'll be kind of a good crossover for them there. They have the infrastructure to do it. They have huge name brand. They have a fuck ton of money. I mean, I think they're going to pull some big names and put them on there. And then again, they have the infrastructure with the USD payment rails. I mean, they're going to be, you know, as soon as they come out, they're probably going to be already looking like a winner. So.
Yeah, for sure. That's an interesting one. I have one last question, which has nothing to do with marketplaces. It's completely different, but it's around projects, and it's around rare Pepes. So like we've heard about CryptoKitties, like CryptoPunks. Apparently, like, you know, rare Pepes are like a very early on project. What are both of your thoughts on this? And yeah, why are we not like hearing about them that much?
Marketing.
For me, it's a bit like an artist, I guess. But so if earlier I was saying the artist comes in and they either drop their work and leave, or they drop their work and they keep working, and those ones that keep working are the ones that have real value. The issue here is it's not that the person who dropped rare Pepes stopped working, it's that their whole chain sort of stopped. So rare Pepes are on Bitcoin, and you know, it was an experiment, and I've looked at them and tried to buy them before, and it's not, I guess it's not too hard, but you know, it's not easy. It's you'd find buying an NFT on ETH even in 2018 easier than you would buying a rare Pepe. I mean, that makes sense because of how odd they are. But on ETH, you're effectively on the current home of NFTs. On Bitcoin, they've just stopped trying. There's just no NFTs there, or if there are, I'm not aware of them, and no one's told me about them, and no one's talking about them. They're a cool piece of history, but I think they're just it's tricky because you get into the whole what is an NFT sort of dealio. Like last time we were talking about fungibility, and I actually tweeted today because I'm buying a house and my money came from crypto, and I have to prove that it's real, which means based on the arguments people have said, that makes my money non-fungible. And is my money in a bank a token? So is the pound coin the first NFT over a rare Pepe? Although there was, I can't remember the name of the game, that dragon something.
Spells of Genesis.
Spells of Genesis. That's I don't know. I don't know why they didn't get at least the same sort of pump as
Crypto.
what was no, not crypto, but that game. Etheria or something. I can't even remember the name. 2015.
Yeah. Etheria. Yeah, I don't know how you pronounce it.
The game that popped up received a pump and Pepe's haven't. I don't know if it's just narratives. I don't know if Pepe's, the people who own them, aren't pumping it on Twitter so people don't care.
They don't have the influence that people on ETH do.
You'd imagine that whoever owns those has influence in the Bitcoin world, not so much the NFT world. So maybe
they don't. Maybe those weirdos of that space, the way that all of us were in the ETH space. If it wasn't for rare Pepes, then we may have made the connection earlier that CryptoPunks were going to be fucking huge because we might have said they're the first ones. But, my take even back then was that nobody trades rare Pepes. They've pretty much forgotten about them. They don't care about them. And CryptoPunks being low volume and no interest, maybe they will go the same route as those, and they'll end up being not worth anything either in the future because there's no community around them. And that was wrong, but I don't know. I actually would say that rare Pepes will. I don't think that they'll be forgotten. I've wanted to pick some up. I don't know how to do it. Like I wish I could just give somebody some money to somehow give me some, and then
if you don't know how to do it, then I think like the 99.9% of the people won't be able to either.
Well, so yeah, for me, if I don't, it's not like you can Google it, or maybe you can. I don't know. I never tried.
I can link you if you want. It's come up in the punk chat.
How to do it? Yeah, I just think it would be it would be cool to get some. I don't know how. Maybe they're outrageously expensive. I don't know, but I think that it's the barrier that really holds them back. ETH is easy to use if you've ever used ETH at all. With rare Pepe, I have no fucking clue how to get them. Maybe it's not that hard, but I didn't even know who to ask until 2 minutes ago. So
you can ask Justin in Punk Chat. He'll link you.
Okay, cool.
And it's kind of going back to that idea of low. Do you remember when we were speaking about low and high effort buyers and collectors? And it's if obviously, ETH is not saying that ETH is low effort, but it's the easiest, you just, or USD as well, card is even more, it's just a click and you're there. You don't really have to think about it. You don't really have to do anything. It's just, it's easy. So I guess, yeah, it could be go back to that.
I wonder if them being Pepes hurts them as well.
I don't know. I thought maybe a little bit of that, the stigma around them. I feel like that's maybe died off a little bit, the whole alt-right association, but because they're so prominent in crypto and like crypto Twitter, like Pepe emojis and memes are all over crypto Twitter stuff.
Yeah.
So I feel like, at least for this crowd, they've kind of moved past that sort of association. But I mean, it could be. Although I would say that's a smaller part than the barrier itself.
It's funny. I know we're like a bit over time, but it's funny around the Carlini, you were saying about your money like not being considered like real money. So like, so what are you doing about it? Like, how are you approaching that?
I need to find someone who will go through all of my wallets and basically say, yes, what he says is true. He's sold all these NFTs, he bought these NFTs, and then he sold them again, and then he's bought more, and then he sold them, and then he's bought more, and then he sold them. Not he is being given money by some criminal gang, which he's now cashing out as Ethereum or whatever. So it's just proving that it's all as I say, I guess, because it's just proof of how early we still are. Like, they don't fully understand what's going on and just panic when they have to prove something, I guess.
Yeah, so money, as you were saying the other time, it's like money is not always the same. It depends on how you see it.
Yeah, but funnily enough, if I left my money alone for 3 months, it would be fine. Because when they asked for like 3 months of bank statements, I could just leave that account for 3 months. And then suddenly it's fungible again. Because when I showed them the transactions, there'd be nothing there and I could just call it savings. So, yes, it's weird how you can flip from non-fungible to fungible.
Yeah. Anyways, I'm conscious of both of your time, and yeah, like I think we had a good chat as always. I have like a lot of more questions that are popping up, but I'll leave them for next time and for next week.
Cool.
Thank you both so
Sounds
much.
Good.
All right. See ya.
Thanks a lot. See ya.
See ya, guys. Thanks.